Hey everybody, welcome to Banjo Quest. Today we're going to pick up from where we left off last week. We were learning a vamping pattern in the key of G between G major and C major chords. And we learned that this was a very common pattern in old-time music, a common chord progression. This week I'm going to show you how to take that chord progression and apply it to other keys, common keys in the old-time repertoire, keys A, D, and C. First, let's take a quick look at the G major scale. 7 notes: G, A, B, C, D, E, and F sharp. Now, if we're just to take a look at the first and fourth notes in this grouping of notes, in this G major scale, we can see that the first one is G and the fourth one is C. If we build chords on top of those notes, a G major chord and a C major chord, we get last week's vamping pattern, last week's chord progression. Referring to chord progressions by numbers is called the Nashville number system, and it's commonly used by musicians all over the world when they're trying to learn relative chord progressions in different keys. Using the Nashville number system, we can describe last week's chord progression as a 1-4 progression. So if you take this basic progression and move it to common old-time keys, you'll be able to play with a lot of different tunes without even really knowing the melodies. So let's capo up to A and play the same chord shapes that we did last week. So it will be the same relative progression, a 1-4 progression, but it will be in the key of A. So let me tune up. I'm in G now. Let me tune up to A. This is a little known banjo trick, but I want to show it to you today, how to instantly tune your banjo to A. You got to do it right. You just got to flip it, and you're in the key of A. Pretty good. I bet you didn't know you could do that. Okay, so let's dive into the key of A. So to play last week's progression in the key of A, we don't need to change anything because this is G tuning capoed up 2 frets. All of the fingering stays the same. So I can play that vamping pattern from last week. A major scale is A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp. The 1 and the 4 of the key of A is the A and the D. So the 1 is the A, and D, this what we were using as a C shape, is now playing a D chord. And you can start to see how this 1-4 progression can be just simply translated into the key of A. So let's make this a little bit more interesting. Let's tune to the key of C. Just like I showed you last time, a quick flip. And now we are in the key of C. Takes a little practice to get that right, but keep practicing. You'll get it eventually. So this is double C tuning, and my 1 and 4 in that Nashville numbering system for the key of C is the chord C and the chord of F major. C major. The flip technique isn't perfect. You gotta tweak it a little bit. C major, first finger down and the 2nd fret, 1st string, gives you C major, that's the 1. The 4 is the F, that's 1st finger down, 2nd fret, 3rd string. Ring finger down on the 1st string, 3rd fret. That's your F chord for the key of C. So now we have a 1-4 progression in the key of C. So now let's take this to our last key of the day. We're going to capo double C up 2 frets into the key of D. So I'm going to use my technique to do that. Isn't that amazing how fast it is to tune a banjo? So we are now in the key of D. This is double C capoed up 2 frets. And we can take that 1-4 progression that we just learned for double C and we can apply it to D tuning. So this chord is no longer a C chord because we've capoed up 2 frets. We're in the key of D. In D tuning, this is now a D chord, and it is the 1 of the D major scale. This is no longer an F chord because we're capoed up 2 frets. This is a G. And that gives us our 1-4 progression in the key of D, double D tuning. So now you've got 4 common old-time keys that you can play a vamping pattern in using the 1-4 progression. The 1-4 progression is incredibly common, so it's going to fit nicely with a lot of the tunes, a lot of the common tunes that you will hear in an old-time jam session. The trick is, though, you've got to listen. So it's not always going to follow a simple... Sometimes that chord progression is going to be a little bit different in the way it's played. So sometimes it'll sit on the 1 of the chord longer than it will on the 4th. You just have to listen and pay attention and really use your ears. A great opportunity for you to practice is at home using your favorite recordings. Find out what key the recordings are in and see if you can play along in these simple vamping patterns using all 4 of these different keys. If you want to expand your knowledge and ability to vamp and play backup at an old-time jam, you would want to learn a 1-4-5 progression. That's very common in popular music and in old-time music. We'll be going over the 5 chord and how to use that in a vamping situation over on Patreon next week. So think of this as a way to understand basic old-time backup and progressions for when you go to a jam session and you want to participate, but you don't necessarily know the tunes. But it is just a first step. Old-time music is much larger than these simple progressions. And if you understand old-time music just through a chordal lens, you're going to miss a whole lot of the magic. So with that, I'm going to leave you, and I will see you next week on Banjo Quest. Hop on over to patreon.com where I have tabs for this lesson, and I will see you next week on Banjo Quest.